G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and watching my content. I really do appreciate it. As always, it is my pleasure and privilege to talk to you about rugby. Super Rugby round 12, the Waratahs versus the Melbourne Rebels. Yes, this was a kind of interesting match because both teams I felt like has been ups and downs. Some weeks they look really good, unbeatable, and the next week they kind of both look a little bit struggling a little bit. So going into this game, I was expecting a close game, and turned out it was actually quite close. The Rebels came out of the gates looking extremely strong. Carter Gordon was putting on a bit of a show, and yeah, the Rebels got on the ball early and 14 points to nil, and then the Waratahs just without panicking, with good leadership, with good set piece, got themselves back into the game and eventually took the lead and closed out the game 38 points to 20. This is a couple of weeks in a row now that the Waratahs has managed the game consistently well for the entire duration. They didn't kind of like falter when they were behind, no panicking, and then just kept consistency throughout the whole game and got themselves the results that they were looking for a couple of weeks in a row now. For the Rebels, once again, this another a thing that's kind of been a consistent issue for the team throughout the whole season. They kind of always seem to start really well, and then the second half kind of like just almost players are just getting a bit panicky in the second half under the pressure. We saw this in the round one when they lost to the Western Force, and this has happened consistently on a recurring basis throughout the whole season. And that's one of the things that I was a little bit curious about, because the Rebels look so good in the first in the first quarter of the game. Essentially, they look unbeatable. They look they look like almost a perfect team. Good set piece, good attacking, good running lines, and good handling and everything, good kicking game. And then just almost like every week, almost like once they get ahead, they just take the foot off the pedal, almost falling off the cliff this week, and then just allowing the opposition to get themselves back into the game. And and eventually falling short once again this week. I've already mentioned just before, this was a game kind of like a battle of the number 10s. Donaldson versus what's his name? Donaldson versus Carter Gordon. So two both very new players to the scene, both kind of like on the cusp of the Wallabies, starting 10 jersey. You've got the old, Quade Cooper, Bernard Foley kind of going into retirement essentially. So yeah, who's gonna take the reins from the Wallabies at the moment? Carter Gordon is the favourites, kind of by Eddie Jones. But I'm very, very impressed by Donaldson today, because Donaldson last year had a bit of a run with the Wallabies. His attacking game is decent, his handling is good, but his kicking game, his goal kicking was a little bit slacking last year. He was barely scraping over 60% accuracy in that goal kicking. But this year, his kicking was just tremendously improved. This game, his kicking percentage is 100%, and there were a number of those kicks were right from the sidelines, just pops them straight down the middle. Like, I was so impressed by his goal kicking. Massive increase in performance. Carter Gordon, on the other hand, he doesn't kick for the Rebels. They have Reece Hodge to do the kick, so it's a bit of a different story for the Rebels. For Carter Gordon, he does have a really physical, really strong carry game as a number 10, but he doesn't really have that goal kicking at his disposal for the Wallabies. So that comes to kind of like question mark. Do you want somebody else to kick for the Wallabies, or do you want your 10 to be the designated kicker and just have that problem kind of like taken care of? So it's a bit of both ways. Also, Donaldson today showed some really good carry game as well, setting up the Waratahs for tries. And so it is a kind of different, a little different style. The sorry, yeah. So so Gordon is a bit more physical, whereas Donaldson is a bit more tactical and strategic. So it's a very kind of like difference. It's a very clear difference between the two number 10s at the moment. So let's go through some of the stats of the game. Not seven tries, it's actually 5 tries. 5 tries to the Waratahs, 2 penalty tries conceded by the Rebels. Like I said, the Rebels were ahead. Waratahs put up more, and then immediately entering the ball from the side and sacking the ball. So Wilkins gets yellow carded, and then immediately the Rebels loses 2 tries loses another try during that yellow card as well. So losing all of that 2 tries advantage early within 10 minutes of this yellow card. And then there was another yellow card in the second half, exactly almost identical situation. The Waratahs goes for a more, and then one of the Rebels play the number 4. What's his name? Josh Canham sacks the more. Really obvious, like he literally dragged it down really obviously. Cynical play, gets another penalty try. So yeah, the top try scorer for this game is the referee, Damon Murphy. So Damon Murphy, congratulations. He's been getting a lot of penalty tries these days. So yes, Damon Murphy is fast becoming the top try scorer in Super Rugby as the referee. That is not a joke. That is actually a legitimate stat. So with that being said, let's go on to the next. Yeah. So with that being said, the turnovers conceded for the Waratahs is 12. The Rebels did concede more turnovers at 17, especially in that second half where the Rebels was not able to convert a lot of their opportunities into tries. Ioane, what's his first name? Monty Ioane, Digby Ioane's niece or cousin or whatever. So he plays for Italy in the international tests. He has come back to Australia due to mental health issues. So I don't want to be too harsh on him, but there was 2 opportunities where he kind of like, he was on the wing, he dropped the ball, where he had a chance to dart for the try line. So there was a couple of opportunities there where he struggled a little bit. I do feel like he probably was a little bit flatter than he normally plays when he plays for Italy. So he's normally a lot deeper, and he's normally giving a lot more space to run from a more deeper position, whether it be as a someone that assists the kicking game, or with someone just being in the running like he usually a bit deeper. So he was really flat for the Rebels, like on the sideline. So maybe that's something that put him off a little bit, because he doesn't have the space that he's used to work with. Maybe that's something to do with the drop balls. But yeah, a couple of opportunities where if he had caught the ball, could have gone in for the tries for the Rebels a couple times. A little bit disappointing there. Tackles made 153 for the Waratahs, 16 missed tackles. The Waratahs defense has been quite good. And again, like it's becoming a little thing where the Waratahs kind of like for a few weeks in a row now. Actually, the Waratahs has been kind of like on the receiving end of the game, like just defense, and then slowly get themselves back into the match. So yeah, another week where the Waratahs made more tackles than the opposition. 153 tackles, 16 mixed tackles, quite good. The Rebels only had to make 85 tackles, so less than 112 missed tackles for themselves. Kicks in play, 28 kicks for the Waratahs, 21 for the Rebels. Like I said, Donaldson has a slightly better kicking game than Carter Gordon. Carter Gordon strikes me as more of a traditional style of 10, likes to carry the ball, likes to run the ball, likes to be very physical. In fact, Carter Gordon probably could play 12, probably better suited to play 12. The physicality that he brings for the team. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. In like 5 years, when he put on another 10 kilos, he could definitely become a transition into a very talented 12 with that physicality that he has. Donaldson, however, really showed a bit more kicking game than Carter Gordon. Lineouts, both teams 12 lineouts apiece, no lineouts lost. Scrum quite even as well, 8 for Waratahs, 3 for the Rebels, and finally penalties dead even, 11 for both teams. But there's 2 yellow cards proved to be the difference, the big difference between the 2 sides, and both yellow cards are a result of the penalty tries, and as a result of lineout more illegal sacking of lineout mauls. So yeah, really disappointing for the Rebels in terms of their discipline. Like I said, they're just a little individual decision making, kind of really costing the whole team. It's something that's a little bit, the players really have to kind of like look at to correct that issue. I did feel like Damon Murphy may be a little bit tough on giving out penalty tries a little bit too early. I feel like, obviously the Rebels sacking the ball was really cynical. I feel like maybe there was a case for like a penalty first and then a penalty try, because it was like immediate penalty try, and then that was it. That was player in the bin and 7 points on the board. So maybe there should be like a I don't know, like a grace 1 penalty for illegally sacking. Because sometimes players do trip over, things like that do happen. So anyway, let's go through some of the key moments of the game. So the game started with the Rebels in the front foot immediately. So the Rebels was looking really good handling. Carter Gordon was, showing and going on the ball and getting past the advantage line and making good passes. And then immediately, 8 minutes into the game, 8 minutes into the game, Carter Gordon gets the ball pretty close to the try line. Just nice, extremely flat ball, shoulder to shoulder, basically. Two players, really short ball to Reece Hodge, and basically create a little gap. Just, yeah, create a little gap in the 12-13 channel, goes straight in. Hodge, easy as that. 8 minutes into the game, Rebels gets on the first try of the ball. And then the Rebels kept on going with the pressure. The Waratahs was looking really under a lot of pressure. They pretty much a very identical sort of situation. The Rebels pressures themselves into the Waratahs 22. Just a few crash balls, and the quick ball comes out. Just spread it out wide. Monty Ioane gets the ball in the corner. On the sideline, runs, darts into the corner, puts the ball down. Easy as that. 30 minutes in, the Rebels are up 14 points to nil. And it was looking really bad. The Waratahs was looking like they were just not able to get out of their own half, and the Rebels' attack was just easily getting past the advantage line, creating a lot of momentum, and the Waratahs was not able to stop it. And then the Rebels had a couple more opportunities. I think Monty Ioane was in a very similar situation after this shot was scored. He basically was on the wing, and there was about 5 meters for him to go in. He the ball goes through, he drops the ball essentially. So that was like the first one that he botched, and then the 21 minutes into the game, Waratahs finally gets himself in some solo territory inside the Rebels half. They had an opportunity to kick for 3 points, and then the Waratahs goes, "No, we're gonna go for the try." They back the set piece, and that was, I was really happy to see this. They go for the maul, and then there was just a really nicely set maul. The maul kind of like stopped a little bit, and then just the Waratahs kind of like tighten up a bit and then start pushing forward again. And then Brad Wilkins sacks the maul right in front of the referee. Look a little bit bad. And then Damon Murphy immediately gives a penalty try. So yeah, Parecki had his try stolen by Damon Murphy. 20 minutes in, the Waratahs gets the first try on the ball, and then immediately issues a yellow card as well. And then 2 minutes later, the Rebels had a line out around 50-meter mark. The line out kind of gets juggled a little bit. I think Carter Gordon intercepted the pass from the halfback, but Jake Gordon, he gets the ball from the Melbourne Rebels line out, and he just punches straight, like he basically runs straight down the sideline, and then he was free and he was away, and the Rebels concedes another try immediately after this yellow card was given, and it was really painful. Within 2 minutes, the Rebels giving away 14 points. Yeah. So in that, and then the yellow card. So then that kind of like was really painful to watch. And then just before halftime, the Rebels was again trying to get themselves into the position to apply pressure for the Waratahs, and then they finally get themselves a penalty, and then Reece Hodge kicks the penalty on the dot of the halftime to get the Rebels going into halftime with a lead, 17 points to 14. Second half, immediately come out of the block. The Waratahs were having the front foot, getting a penalty, and then they go for the set piece, go for the line out, go for the maul. This time, a different player, and that was really disappointing to see as well. George Canham sacks the maul. He was, the first one looked a little bit like, looks a bit like the first penalty try was kind of like 50-50. You could potentially say that Wilkins was like, kind of like, it didn't look that obvious that he sacked the ball, but this one was really obvious. The second one was really obvious. The number 4 literally just like dragged the ball carrier and pulled him down. It was really, really, really obvious. And then Damon Murphy, once again, have no choice to issue a yellow card and a penalty try. And suddenly the Waratahs are leading by 4, and then the Rebels, and then the pressure kept on building for the Waratahs with the Rebels with the player in the bin. So the Waratahs, what happened here? And another one. So the Rebels once again was inside their own 22, doing a defensive lineout. The lineout gets spoiled to the Waratahs side. The Waratahs get the ball. Quick counter attack. Langley Gleeson, big crash ball down center field. The ball comes out really quick, spreads it out wide. To Nwangani Tawasi had a play in front of him, just beats him, just goes straight through, runs through the defender. I think it might be Ioane, just ran straight through him, goes into the corner for the try, which was really, really impressive. So Nwangani Tawasi gets a 4th try for the Waratahs, 52 minutes into the game. And then after that, the game kind of like stalled out a little bit. The Rebels was trying to get themselves back into the game with penalties. Reece Hodge kicks a penalty, 49th minute with the player whilst the player was still in the bin, and then the Waratahs managed themselves to try to get themselves to stay ahead as well. Donaldson kicks a penalty 66 minutes into the game, and finally, just before full time, Donaldson gets the ball. He really showed whatever Carter Gordon can do, he can do as well. Just managed to step himself through a little gap, and then links up with one of his support players, and then I think it was Gleason, and then Gleason passes the ball out to Nwangani Tawasi, and to Isaiah Peresi, who goes into the corner once again for the Waratahs, and with the bonus point, and this will be a bonus point try for the Waratahs as well, and then Donaldson finished the game with another beautiful kick straight down the sideline, from the sideline straight down the center of the goalpost, and then closed out the game, 38 points to 20. And that is the game for the Waratahs and Rebels. Let me know your thoughts. I did feel like the Waratahs looked just much more composed, much more structured than the Rebels. Whilst the Waratahs does have issues here and there in terms of their I feel like in terms of their attacking patterns, but overall the Waratahs was very structured in terms of their set piece and defense. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. Is Damon Murphy going to be the top try scorer by the end of the season? We shall find out. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend. Cheers.